Welcome to the Christ Connection Podcast. We are here to help and encourage you to enjoy your adventure with Jesus. I'm your host, Kevin Senapati Ratna. Let the journey begin. Hello and welcome to episode number 73 of the Christ Connection Podcast. I'm glad you could join us today. I couldn't find a TV show that only had 73 episodes, so I guess what that means is you need to help me with coming up with something for 74, or if any episodes that you have a favorite TV show, a number of episodes, send it over to us. We are at Enjoying Prayer on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, so head on over there and just make a comment. My favorite TV show has X amount of episodes, so that would be fun. But today I wanted to share with you something that I'm really excited about. I remember reading something about the late Bill Bright, that God would put something in his heart, and sometimes it sat there for years till the time was right. What I'm going to share with you today is something that has been in our heart for years, and we're going to take the next step in that direction. To set the stage for you, my wife's late grandparents, their names were Einard and Lorraine Oslin. They're from northern Minnesota in the town of Hines, a small little town up there. And if you went in it to the town, you took the dirt road just a little bit of ways out, and there was there was a red house there next to a field that sometimes had cows in it, and they were an amazing couple, friendly, had many people in and out of their house. When I was first pastoring, I was a college student, and a drive to northern Minnesota to pastor a small little church there, and I was just engaged to Jenny at the time, and so sometimes on a Saturday evening I would go over to their house, have dinner, watch the ball game with them, and it was just one of those special moments to be able to share with them. And then over the years after we got married, many times being in their house, and their hospitality, the way they shared love with people, their faith, their deep depth of faith, and the importance of the Bible, and all that means. And they had an amazing story. They died, I think it's 72 hours, 48 hours. I mean, it was within a very short period of each other. They both went to heaven, had a joint funeral. I had an opportunity to share a few words at that, and just a very special couple. Now, we'll come back to that in just a second, but since we started the ministry of Christ Connection, we've always wanted to do things for the overseas. My heart, I'm a missionary kid. In my background, I was overseas for a while, and our heart has been for the world. Our love is for the world. Now, we also, God has just put in our heart a love for travel and seeing the world as well. So that's been there. And I read once that often the way God speaks to us is the desires that he puts in our hearts. And I think that's true. And so we've always had a kind of focus towards the world and the things that are outside of our own country, and to be a blessing. So you'll sometimes hear me talk about where this, our podcast has been to 79 countries, just because I have a love for the world. We have a love for the world. Jenny's podcast, Real Life with Jenny, is seeing a lot of response in India, so we're excited about that. We joke around here, she's a big deal in India or whatever, because we just love what God does around the world, the beauty of the world, and that what's connected with that. And so ultimately, we even want to do some things overseas where it's in our heart. We'll see what God would do, but we'd love to, a trip or two, whether it's to a prayer trip, a vision trip, to capture some of the things that God has done around the world in video or audio, whether it's to bless some missionaries or whatnot. That's been in our heart since we started this ministry, and kind of the vision down the road for that. So when we wanted to capture what God had put in our heart for the world, we thought there would be no better name for that part of the Christ Connection ministry than to honor Jenny's grandparents by calling it the Einard and Lorraine Faith and Hope Center, just to kind of something to talk about as we have processed over the years. And now, years ago now, because my Jenny's grandparents have, that was about 10 years, 11 years ago that they went to heaven. And so years ago now, I actually put up a sign on the spare bedroom in our trailer with a sign mentioning that room as the Enid and Lorraine Faith and Hope Center International Headquarters. Because you kind of put out a kind of a statement of faith there for it. I'll put a picture of that in the post that's connected with this episode, so you can see, that's just what you do sometimes. You put out there by faith, even though it's maybe years down the road from that. And today, we're going to take another step in that direction, a small step, but we're going to take a step in that direction as part of the vision with our November fundraising challenge. Now, for now through November 22nd, we're going to be raising money for 3 things that I think you're going to get excited about, and it's going to make a difference for the kingdom. The first one is directly connected with what I'm talking about here and our heart for the world. Over the years, it kind of in our own family, my wife, daughter, and I have used this time between now and the end of the year in different ways and different methods, but to be a blessing to missionaries and missionary organizations. And we pick some missionaries maybe and send them a little something as a blessing during the holiday season, just various things that we have done. And this year we're inviting you to join us in this project. We're going to bless some missionaries, and if you give, you can we'll put that in with what we're doing, and you can be a blessing around the world to maybe a missionary that's struggling, maybe just a missionary that needs a blessing, maybe for some missionary kids, whatever we're going to be doing. We're going to kind of discuss it as a family as we see what comes in and be a blessing to some missionaries. So that's the first thing that we're going to be doing. The second thing we're raising money for is my wife's new book that is coming out. If you haven't been following on at Real Life with Jenny, she's in the process of coming out with a book, and I'm excited about it. It's going to be some good stuff. I've only read parts of it because I'm letting her process that, but the parts that I have read and the things that she's talked about and what she's doing, it's going to be good stuff. And now, when you think, okay, raising money for a book, don't you make money on a book? Well, it depends on how you do it. We have a habit of giving away books. We have a habit of this. Really, our books are about an extension when we speak, or just another way for people to grab a hold of the message. And so we want to be a blessing with that. And she's just about to hit the editing stage and to pay for those kind of things, the launch. We want to be a blessing as much as possible to as many people, and so that's the second thing that we're going to be working on. The third item and the final thing that we'll be raising during this November challenge is what we call the Christ Connection Travel Fund. Now, just to give you an idea what that is and what I'm talking about there, let me just be a little nerdy here for a second. Let my inner nerd out. Now, after I speak at a church, I have a tradition that I will I say I go out to lunch with the pastor maybe, and somewhere in that process, often either a board member or the pastor will give me this envelope that has the honorarium in there. That's just kind of how works. And so I will then take that and put it in my backpack or whatever and leave it aside and go have lunch with the pastor, not look at it. I want to focus on ministering to the pastor and his family, and or whoever else comes out to lunch with us. And just that's part of the pouring in process when I speak at a place. And then after lunch, you get in your car, and then I'll look at, pull out the envelope before I start my car, maybe make a quick look at that amount. And this is just me, but I'm a nerd, so I'll then subtract out, if I had to go the night before in the hotel that I stayed at, and then you do the mileage, 54 cents or whatever per mile, and then just kind of work that. And oftentimes, this really is oftentimes, it will not even be a break-even proposition. When you consider the mileage and all that, it just doesn't work out that way. And I'll think about that as I drive home. And as I think about that, though, that is what the travel fund is for. It allows us to go to places, to that church that can't afford to bring someone and still be a blessing to them. I don't want to get to the point where I can't be a blessing, or going out to a lunch with a pastor who, you're driving someplace and you go out to lunch with them to be a blessing to them. I want to continue to do that, and that's what the travel fund does. That travel fund allows us to go to leadership meetings of, maybe National Prayer Committee meetings or whatever, those meetings that come up, and be a blessing there, that in places that it's not about making money, but being a blessing to the people, the church, the pastor, the leaders, whatever that may be. So those are the three things, the missionaries, the book, and these opportunities for the travel fund. And we're just wanting you to have an opportunity to get involved in what God is doing. Now, I also wanted to quickly, as we're wrapping this up, give an application to you as well. Because if you were here with us last episode, if you haven't, you can go back and listen to that, where we talk about George Mueller. I have a guy come in and talk about George Mueller and how he never asked for money. And so you might be thinking, okay, this is kind of weird follow-up episode after that to then be talking about giving to this fundraising project. But it's actually an important thing for you to think about, because sometimes we understand someone else's calling and try and apply it to ourselves, and then we miss out on what God has for them. The principle of George Mueller is he was trying to prove who God was and what God is able to do as you're obedient to Him and live a life of prayer. Now, in my case, the application of that is actually the opposite of what George Mueller, because my tendency would be to not ask for money, because again, this is a psychology thing, and we'll save that for the therapy session, but there's kind of that, I don't want to ask for myself, I don't want to, and I need to set aside, no, this is about the mission and calling that God has for me, and so I have to stretch outside of my comfort zone to invite people into that. And so maybe for yourself even, you're thinking about, you hear some message or something and you're like, oh, I need to do exactly what. No, you need to translate that into your own context and apply it in a way that allows you to stretch outside your comfort zone, stretch into what God would have for you. And so I'm asking you to join us in this campaign for the November challenge. Make a difference in the lives of some missionaries. Make a difference in the lives who will read my wife's book. Make a difference in the lives of our places where we travel to. You can give by going to christconnection.cc/donate. Again, that's christconnection.cc/donate, or just christconnection.cc and click on the donate page. And there's multiple ways that you can give there, however it works for you and your contents. And even if you can't do a lot, every little bit helps, and it makes a difference, and it's going to touch and minister. Actually, I'd love to see some $5 donations, things like that, just to say, hey, I'm in this, I'm going after it, and see where we're getting, who's listening to this. I'd love to be a part of this whole thing. So that's our episode for today. I pray that God would bless you and keep you and make His face shine upon you and be gracious towards you. I pray that you would experience the goodness of God. Again, if you would like to get involved, it's christconnection.cc, and then click on the donate button. And if you would like to say hello, say hi, or just let us know some episode numbers or whatever like that, again, you can find us at Enjoying Prayer on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I'd love to hear from you. And until next time, thanks for listening.